Okay, we are going to continue in chapter 2. We talked about our different sled designs that people 7,000 years ago would have used. Remember on Friday, we were talking about all the different stages of that history when we were looking at page 16 from 12,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago. So, how things have changed in Minnesota over time. Today we are going to start reading on page 17. We're going to be talking about the oral history. And as you can see, oral history is one of those key terms that we talked about last week. What does oral history mean? Who remembers what is oral history? Katie?
Oral history is a retelling of stories to tell people about a certain thing that happened. Paul Bunyan.
It's the retelling of stories about your culture and sharing of those stories to keep it alive, like Paul Bunyan. We talked about how that started as an oral history. People are talking about Paul Bunyan, and that's how we know that lumberjacks and the lumber industry is a huge part of Minnesota history. So it's that oral history that clues us into the key parts of our history. I think I'm going to do the reading up here because it'll pick up my voice better for the recording. So I'll do the reading today. For many centuries, the native people of North America have kept their history alive through oral history. Sometimes these stories tell of events that happened long ago. Sometimes they are legends that teach lessons or explain why things are the way they are. Sometimes the stories warn what might happen in the future if young people don't listen to their elders. Oral history connects people to each other and to their past. So think about that. Think about the warnings. Have mom and dad ever told you stories to get you to stop and not do something? Have you ever said, oh, when I was your age, I did that, and this bad thing happened, so don't do that? Kira?
They used to tell me if I stand really close to the TV, I'd get like bad eyesight.
Yeah.
I think that they were wrong.
So standing too close to the TV might affect your eyesight.
Not true though.
Well, it's the screens. We've learned, especially over this last year and a half with the pandemic, the rays that come off of our screens aren't the healthiest for our eyes, and some people get the blue glasses.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll help them so they don't get headaches when they're looking at the screens. So telling those stories is a warning that, hey, there might be something to that. Katie, did you have something?
Yeah, I got dry eyes from doing that during the pandemic, having all that screen time, and I need to get glasses.
Yep. Leah?
My dad used to tell us that he has this thing in his head where, like, because we used to not hold our cups with our hands and just hold them with our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
He used to tell us that he has this thing in his head that would, and it's called an anger meter or something, and it would go up if we did that, and he would get mad. So then we stopped doing it.
So it's a story Dad would tell, giving you that warning. Oh, the anger meter's going up. So you'd know to stop doing whatever it was you're doing. Kira?
My dad used to say there's eyes on the back of his head, and then there was one day where it just clicked for me. When he'd only have eyes on the back of his head, and it was nighttime, and the reflection off of our window would show what I'm doing in the kitchen. So I'm like, no, you don't. You're looking at the window reflection.
Yep. Sometimes parents have little tricks like that where they can say eyes in the back of my head, but they actually see your reflection in a mirror or in the window. Sometimes we just know, and we can tell by the sound of your voice that you are rolling your eyes at us, and we know that that's happening. Even though we might not actually see it, parents sometimes have a sixth sense about that. Last one, and then we're going to go on, Nick.
My dad said, don't ever stare at the sun. When I was 5, I wouldn't stop staring at the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, that's why I got glasses. I said, is there any way I can undo it?
Yep. Okay, let's keep on reading. The oral histories of many different American Indian nations include stories that can help us understand the meaning of the petroglyphs found at Jeffers. Remember all those carvings. Some stories are told by native people such as the Dakota, who live in Minnesota today and whose ancestors may have made carvings at Jeffers. Others are told by native people who live far away in other parts of North America. Oral histories suggest that the handprints at Jeffers can mean many different things. So, taken from a video of Dakota Elder Vernell. She said, Elder Vernell Wabasha. She says there's a presence here. It's like walking into a church or the cathedral. You have this awe, this awesome feeling that there's something here. There's something here that you're going to take home with you, that you're going to keep feeling. It's so beautiful and so special. To hear the wind blowing, you feel it and you can hear it. And it's like there's somebody here talking to you. So when you're actually in that place at the Jeffers Historic Site, you can feel that presence of the people from long ago. They left their marks on the rocks and they're speaking to you. So it's pretty impressive to be there. So friendship. Dakota elders tell us that their people have long considered shaking hands a gesture of friendship and trust. The people who carved the handprints into the rocks at Jeffers might have been pledging their friendship to other people who visited the site. They might also have been leaving a sign of friendship for people like us who would come later. So when we were talking about the hand last week and the different meanings it has for all of us, some of us said it might mean friendship. And that is one of the meanings for the Dakota people. Grief. The hand is also a common sign of sorrow among Native people, including the Omaha and the Dakota. When Dakota women lose their husbands, for example, they will often hold their hands in front of their faces and wipe away their tears with their palms instead of their fingers. It's possible that handprints at Jeffers are meant to mark an event of deep sorrow, such as the death of a loved one. So the hand could represent the crying and the wiping of your tears. So it's very different than the meaning of the friendship. Let's turn our page. Death. Native people of the Northern Plains, including the Mandan, Hidatsa, Crow, and Lakota, refer to one of the most familiar groupings of stars in the night sky as the Hand constellation. According to the oral histories of these people, the Hand constellation is the place in the sky through which the souls of the dead can leave this world. The Jeffers handprints could therefore represent death or a spirit journey. And if we look at that constellation, it says some people call that constellation Orion. And if you look at the 3 bright dots right in a row, that would be Orion's belt. And sometimes when I look up at the night sky, I look for Orion's belt, part of that constellation. I've never before heard of it referred to as the Hand constellation. So I found this very interesting that it's the same constellation of stars, but it has a different name to it and different meanings behind it. So I think that's very interesting. Leah.
We saw a comet once, and I wasn't very impressed with it. I saw a Big Dipper, and I was more impressed with that.
Yeah, sometimes seeing something like the Big Dipper and it's so big and massive, it's very impressive. And then you see a comet and it kind of looks like an airplane going by. So sometimes those comets are more impressive than others. Many cultures at Jeffers. The land we now call Minnesota was once part of a vast trading network that brought together Native people from many parts of North America. Over thousands of years, different people from all over North America may have come to the place now called Jeffers. When they met at Jeffers, people from various groups had the opportunity to trade as well as to share ideas and information. Likewise, these many different explorers and traders may have left marks on the rocky ridge at Jeffers. These groups may have included the Mandan, Iowa, Ottawa, Omaha, Hidatsa, Cheyenne, Arapaho, Winnebago, and Dakota communities. Listening to oral histories can help explain the meaning of the petroglyphs. It's likely that many ideas and many cultures are represented in the carvings at the Jeffers site. So it might not just be the Dakota carving in the hands in the other shapes. It might be the Winnebago or the Cheyenne, and different tribes might have had different meanings behind their symbols. So it could be the basic same symbol, but it means something different. And one thing I talked with the other class about is when we're reading in our social studies book, a lot of times when we're reading that history, we're reading from languages of other people. So when we're reading the American Indian words, some of the words we might know because we have a lot of American Indian words here in Minnesota because they had a large presence. People from other parts of the country don't know how to pronounce those words. Sometimes we're going to come to words that we don't know how to pronounce. And when you come to a word that you're not sure of how it's said, just sound it out the best you can. Say it with confidence, like it's how it's supposed to be, because chances are nobody else knows how it's supposed to be pronounced. So you just read it with confidence, how you think it would sound, and you keep going on. You don't stop and stumble over it and go, I'm not sure, I don't know this word. Just say it like you think you know it. Like when I was reading this and I saw the hidatsa, I've never seen that word before. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but I say it like I know it, and we keep going on. So we're not going to make a big issue out of all these words we don't know. There will be times it's words that I do know and you might not know, so I'll tell you the correct pronunciation. And then there's other times where we just do our best. Okay. With that, we're going to stop with the book, and I'm going to stop our recording.